Shocker Showdown. Fans pack Intrust Bank Arena as Wichita State and Oklahoma square off on the hardwood. Good evening, I'm Chris Arnold. Craig Andrus has the night off. Well, today's big game serving as a warm-up of sorts for Intrust Bank Arena. The venue's set to play host to the first and second rounds of the NCAA men's basketball tournament in March. KSN's Carly Willis joins us from the arena with a look at the impact of this afternoon's game.
Chris, Intrust Bank Arena was absolutely bubbling with excitement earlier for this downtown hosted Shocker game. Last year, the Shockers took on Oklahoma State here at Intrust Bank Arena. This year, those OU Sooners. The event sold out partially because it gives people who don't normally attend Shocker games at Charles Koch Arena the chance to get up close and personal with this group of athletes in the Sedgwick County-owned Intrust Bank Arena. O'Donnell explained it's like having the best of both worlds, showcasing both the talented Shocker basketball team and, of course, the Intrust Bank Arena as the venue.
We're really maximizing taxpayer assets and blending that together, and you can just tell there's a great sense of enthusiasm. Like you mentioned, people have been standing outside for hours waiting to get in.
We'll have more from the game coming up on KSN News at 10. For now, in Intrust Bank Arena, Carly Willis, KSN News.
Thanks, Carly. Coming up later in sports, KSN's Jeff Eberly will tell us what went right and wrong for the Shocks in their matchup with the Sooners today. In Arlington, Virginia today, hundreds came out to lay wreaths on the graves of fallen servicemen and women. Reports say more than 245,000 wreaths were placed at the grave sites. The Wreaths Across America caravan traveled earlier this month from Columbia Falls, Maine, where the wreaths were made. Now, multiple 18-wheeler trucks drove through several states before finally making it to Arlington. Now back here closer to home, this long-standing tradition made its way right here to Wichita this morning with a ceremony at Calvary Cemetery. KSN's Amanda Aguilar was there as hundreds of people paid tribute to those who served.
Our nation stands as a shining beacon of liberty and freedom to the world.
At 11 o'clock this morning, thousands of people across the nation honored fallen veterans. Here in Wichita, city and county officials, community members, as well as those who served or continue to serve, took part in the city's first ever Wreaths Across America ceremony.
We say thank you, and we are honored to know you.
Almost 700 veterans are buried at Calvary Cemetery. With the help of sponsors, the local Daughters of the American Revolution chapter provided a little more than 500 wreaths for the ceremony.
There's all kinds of people that care, and we care about your family members that were sacrificed everything for us.
Those that attended say the wreaths are a way to show that the fallen soldiers aren't forgotten. As people laid the wreaths at the grave sites, they reflected on the sacrifices that each one of the veterans made for our freedom.
As you see all the wreaths laid, you know that it was quite a price indeed for us to be free.
Ceremony organizers were pleased with the turnout and hope to bring the ceremony to more Wichita cemeteries. Amanda Aguilar, KSN News.
Thanks, Amanda. The Wreaths Across America tradition started back in 1992 when Maine wreath maker Morrill Worcester donated 5,000 wreaths to the Arlington National Cemetery. Today, a total of 1.2 million wreaths are expected to be placed on markers across the country in more than 1,200 locations. In your news across America, President Donald Trump is at Camp David for the weekend, gearing up for a big week ahead, which could see Republicans cross the finish line on tax reform. NBC's Chris Pallone reports.
On his way to Camp David for the weekend, President Donald Trump felt like Santa Claus, hoping to deliver a signature on the nation's biggest tax reform plan in decades.
This is going to be one of the great gifts to the middle-income people of this country that they've ever gotten for Christmas.
House and Senate Republicans hammered out final details and lined up enough votes for it to pass Friday.
Our lawmakers listened to their constituents, families and businesses, and this tax reform reflects the priorities of the American people.
The bill creates 7 new tax brackets. The average family with a joint income of $70,000 a year will pay 12% instead of 15%. The corporate tax rate goes from 35% to 21%. But tax cuts for individuals expire in 2025. The corporate tax cut is permanent.
Reputable third-party analysis, nonpartisan, does show that most people will get a tax cut from this legislation, but it's just not going to add up to much.
Former Republican National Committee Chair Michael Steele says Republicans will take any win they can get.
They want to get out of this year as fast as they can with a pat on their back to say, gee, look what we finally did, and say, we have given you the best Christmas present we could possibly give you. without letting them know that when you unwrap this thing, it may actually contain coal.
Analysts say if passed, the tax bill would add $1.5 trillion to the national debt. A vote is expected Tuesday. Chris Pallone, NBC News.
It is unclear whether Mississippi Senator Thad Cochran and Arizona Senator John McCain will be able to vote on the tax bill this week. Both missed votes last week with medical issues. Well, Vice President Pence has postponed a trip to Jerusalem next week in case he has to break a tie vote in the Senate. Well, the deadline for those wanting to enroll in the Affordable Care Act is being extended for a little bit longer. After a push of last-minute sign-ups, the Trump administration says they are extending the deadline for some people to finish their health insurance applications for next year. Now, callers to the healthcare.gov service center this morning got a recorded message saying, don't worry, if they'd still like to enroll for the upcoming year. Also, longer sign-up periods are available for people in special circumstances, including those affected by this year's hurricanes. An off-duty police officer is being called a hero after stopping a gunman inside a Kansas City Costco last month. Captain Michael Howell is speaking out for the first time since taking quick action to protect shoppers from danger. Ashley Arnold has the story.
I said, police, drop the gun, don't move. And when I said police the second time, he turned and pointed his pistol at me. And that's when
In those moments, Captain Michael Howell had to act, shooting and killing Ronald Hunt, the man seen here carrying a gun into the Costco store on November 26th.
Because when you're on duty, your team is there. You've got a partner that's got a second set of eyes. He's got another radio. He's got his weapon. He's a witness. You've got your body armor, his body armor. You know, on duty, you've got all of your equipment with you. In this off-duty scenario, it was him and I, and that was it.
Still, Howell says even if he didn't have his weapon, he still would have tried to engage Hunt for one simple reason.
I couldn't have let him kill people.
After that shooting, Howell says he called 911 to tell them what happened. He put his gun down and began to wait.
Once I finished my conversation with the 911 operator, and I said, I need a uniform in here now, it felt like forever. What I did not know was that they were already at the door getting ready to make entry.
Howell's been back on duty since Sunday and has been applauded and called a hero from those outside the force and within. But from those that he works with, he always has the same reply.
I'm like, you would have done the same thing if you'd have been there and I wasn't. Well, I know that, but I said, no, I'm just doing my job.
You know, Captain Howe also says the biggest thing this whole situation taught him was simple, that training works. Well, one person is dead after a crash in Anderson County late Friday night. The crash happened about 2 miles south of the small town of Welda, just before midnight. According to the Kansas Highway Patrol, a Texas man was driving a semi-truck northbound on Highway 169. That's when they say the truck left the roadway, striking a concrete culvert and a milepost sign. KHP says the driver of the truck then overcorrected, re-entered the highway, and hit another car. The driver of that car, 19-year-old Andrew Metcalf of Independence, was pronounced dead at the scene. The driver of the semi-truck and his passenger did not suffer any injuries. A small group of Wichitans were at Riverside Park this afternoon to talk about the city's proposed fireworks policy. Right now, the city has stricter fireworks restrictions than the state rules, but officials are now looking into allowing larger fireworks. Those who attended today's gathering said they're against the idea. They've cited safety concerns, and others worried about local veterans and pets' well-being during the 4th of July celebrations.
This is a dangerous path, and I don't think we need to trade our safety and security, which the city leadership is responsible for.
The Wichita City Council meets Tuesday morning to take a closer look at the fireworks policy. Well, Wichitans braved the chilly weather this morning for this year's Jingle Bell Run. Our own Stephanie Bergman hosted the race, while other members of the KSN family laced up their shoes to join in. The 5K run raises funds for the Arthritis Foundation, a group that aims to help and educate those with the disease.
We have a camp for children. We have educational programs for children who are dealing with juvenile arthritis. So we have lots of local programs in addition to our national research.
The race has raised over $60,000 for the program. If you would like to donate, you can visit their website, jbr.org. Well, local families in need got a chance to fill their Christmas stockings this morning. It's all a part of the annual Gently Used Toy Christmas distribution held by the His Helping Hands Ministry. Today, parents got to pick through over 20,000 nearly new and used toys to use as gifts for their children. Helping Hands say that most of the toys come from local donations, and are in pretty good shape.
A lot of these toys are really very nice. We have large kitchen sets, we have bikes, we have tricycles, we have the plastic, hot cars and things like that. So there are really a lot of good quality used toys back there for these kids.
In all, more than 150 families received toys. Organizers say donations are always welcomed at the His Helping Hands warehouse, located at 1441 East 37th Street North. Well, it was a warm, spring-like day today, but will it last? Katie Western will be here to tell you what you can expect coming up.